how do we find a percentage of any value? Okay, how do you find the percentage of any value? In other words, the question will always sound like this: how much is something percent of something else? Okay, these questions happen all the time, and they're really, really important to actually understanding a lot about how the world works around you. So the best way is to always lead by example. So here are some real world examples of percentages of things and how to calculate them. Okay, so here's an example. Walmart parking lot, or our school parking lot, has 152 cars in it. Okay, someone counted them. Someone also told us that 24% of those cars outside are what? Are vans. Okay, so not sedans or compact or whatever. So the question is, how many exactly of those 152 cars are actual vans? So think about it this way: you do not know how many there are, like vans, but you know how much in percent. So someone tells you 24% of those cars are classified as vans. Okay, that's fine if I want it in percentage, but what if I actually want what? The number of actual vans in the parking lot. Okay, so everyone, there are two things we have to do here. There's something we have to do first, and then there's something we have to do to get the answer. So everyone, the first thing, I don't care what math you ever do, the first thing, whenever you see a percentage, you have to switch the percentage to a decimal. You have to switch the percentage to a decimal. And how do you always do that? You always switch the percentage to a decimal by dividing that number by 100. So the first thing I want you to write is this. What to do first? Switch. Go ahead. Let's use a different color. Switch. Go ahead. Switch the, I'm not going to write the word percentage. I'm just going to write the symbol for percentage. Switch the percentage to a decimal. How do you always do that in any math course you ever take? By dividing by 100. By dividing, I'm just going to use the symbol for divide by 100. Okay, let's do that. 24 divide by 100. 24 divide by 100 equals, I don't know if anyone wants to guess that. Yes, exactly. You just move the decimal point that you don't see twice backwards. Divide by 100. There we go. 0.24. 0.24. 0.24. I'm just going to squeeze this. Okay, so that's always the first step. Convert or switch the number to a percentage. Go ahead, write that down. What's my next step? Take that number, everyone, take this number and multiply it by what? Multiply it by the number of total things, which apparently is the 152 cars outside in the parking lot. So number two is, I'm going to write it in green because it's our last step. Multiply. So exactly, always remember this. Divide first, multiply second. So, yep, multiply the decimal, the decimal by the number of cars. All right. So 0.24 times how many? 152. You get, okay, by the way, we're going to get a decimal and we still have to explain what that means. So 0.24 times by 152, 36.48. Now, can you ever have 36 and a half vans? No. Exactly. So certain things could not be counted unless they're what? Whole, like people or desks or cars and so on. You would not consider you have a full car unless you have a full one. So here's the thing. You might think, listen up. You might think, should I round this like to a whole number? You could. How do you round to a whole number? Remember, that's what the quiz is about, or some questions that you cut the number here, and you might say, oh, 4 doesn't do anything to the 6. Sure, you can do that. But there is an easier way to round anything that needs to be whole. Just tell me how many, at least, vans you have. Well, did you make it to 37 vans? Did we make it to 37? Does that number make it to 37? No, it didn't. But did it make it to 36? Yes, it did. So everyone, from now on, any number that should be reflecting a whole thing, like people or cars or desks or anything like that, always round, always just take this number. Because you know for a fact, if you have 36.48 vans, you've got yourself 36 vans at least. The key word is at least. So we're going to say what? We're going to say, everyone, we're going to say at least 36 vans. You can't say at least 37 vans because you didn't make it to 37. You definitely made it to 36 though. Okay, so 30. There you go. At least. By the way, I'm not going to take marks off if you don't write at least. I'll understand that you mean it, okay? But I need to know that you only looked at this number because that's the minimum number of vans that made it to this calculation. Okay? Always think of it this way. All right. Let's do the exact same kind of question, but applied to a different and probably more relevant situation to you as a student. Okay. You are writing a multiple choice test. You are writing a multiple choice test. Happens all the time in so many courses. The test has 60 questions. The test has 60 full number of questions. Apparently, your mark came back. Your mark is 75%. Your mark is 75%. You're interested in, obviously, how many of the 60 questions did I get right if my mark came down to be what? 75%. Same thing. This is like just asking, my mark is 24%. How many of 152 questions did I get right? Same idea. So the first thing is what? What do you do first? Do you look at this number? Yes. But instead of writing all of that now, let's just write it quickly. So I just want you to write what? Divide. Sorry, go ahead. Divide percent by 100. Great. Okay. So apparently 75. By the way, everyone, you see that? Look, everyone. Apparently, when I'm dividing the percent, I don't write the percent. Look, I don't write the sign for percent. I just look at the number itself. I just look at this number itself. So 75 divided by 100. How much is 75 divided by 100? 0.75. Yep, 0.75. 0.75. That's my first step. That is my first step. What's my second step? What do I do with that decimal? How would I use it? I would, exactly. One step you divide, one step you multiply. So multiply by number of questions. Yep. Uh, that's 0.75 times 60 is how many? Is this a decimal or a whole number? Perfect. So are we going to worry about rounding? No. How many questions did you get right for that test? You got so we, by the way, I don't really need therefore statements, but maybe sometimes it's good to have it in your notes. You got 45 questions right. The three dots. Everyone, yeah, you can put three dots. That's the math way of saying therefore. I don't even need you. If you feel comfortable always providing it for your own sake, go ahead. I'm not going to penalize anyone or take marks off if you don't even say it. It is. It is actually, yeah. Yep. Many math teachers say instead of writing, again, math is about symbol, not so many words. Okay, but still, those symbols do mean words. Okay, let's do one more. You buy a large Starbucks coffee for $6.32. $6.32. The tax on it is how much? 13%. So so everyone, you do know that the price you see on the menu is always what the before tax price. You still have to factor in the tax. And the tax has been for, I guess, about 15 years, has been always what? 13%. What's the name of this tax, by the way? Does anyone know? What's the name of this tax? Because before, by the way, does anyone remember how the tax used to be before? It used to be, okay, it used to be 15%. And it used to be, but it came from two sources. It used to be PST and GST. That was like 15 years ago at least. PST used to be the provincial sales tax, so by the province. GST used to be the government or the federal sales tax. So I think it was 7, 8. I think the government was, sorry, the province was 7, and the, what do you call it, the government was 8. So all in all, it was how much? 15. Then they were like, you know what? We're going to combine both of these into what? Into what? One single tax, and do two things. Change the name into just one name, and change the amount from 8 plus 7 equals 15 to how much? 13. Does anyone know what's the name of this new tax? HST. HST. Yep, you look at absolutely any receipt, and it says what? HST. Standing for what? Standing for Harmonized Sales Tax. It's still a sales tax on most merchandise, not everything, but almost everything. But it's called H. So I want you to write HST on this. I'm not going to ask you to write the full name. I just want you to know what it's called. So go ahead, everyone. Just write sorry, H S T, capital H, capital S, capital T. Okay. So the question now is, how much tax do you have to add? You know it's 13%. That's fine. But how many actual dollars and cents do you actually have to pile on top of this to know how much tax you have to pay? Guess what? Same thing. So I have to do what to the 13? Do I multiply it by 100 or divide by 100? You always divide any percentage by 100. So the first thing is, we're going to, yeah. So divide percent by 100. So that gets you 13 divided by 100 equals how much? 0.13. And since I have two, everyone, since I have two things I have to solve for here, I'm going to do all the work here. Here, I'm going to do all the work for this one here. So first of all, I got 0.13. What do I do with that 0.13 now? You divide first. What do you do next? Come on. Multiply 0.13 by how much? By the full amount before tax of the drink. So I'm going to do this in green. So now multiply. So we get, let me zoom in so you can see bigger. There we go. 0.13 times, and I'm going to put the dollar sign so you know my final answer is actually money. All right, how much are we talking about? Well, let's see. 0.13 times 632. Okay. What, everyone? What do we do? What do we do with money? We no 2. Everyone, in money we round to 2. We make the cut after 2. So what happens with this one? Does this one change the 2 or keep it the same? Keep it the same. So apparently, I am paying 0.82 of a dollar. So 0.82 for a dollar. By the way, how much is 82 of a dollar? How many cents is that? If it's less than a dollar, it's in cents. How many cents is that? 82 cents. Everyone, every time you see something like this and you want it in cents, just look at this. It's 82 cents. So, how would you know? Listen up. How would you know the full price of the drink? What do you do? What do you do? Come on, tell me the process. You add what? You add the menu price to the what? To the tax. We're gonna do this here. So full price, the actual price you need to have on you to be able to get that drink. So full price equals the $632 plus You can't add it in cents. You still have to add it in what? In dollars, which is how many? 632 plus what? Plus 0.82. You have to pay $7.14, including tax. So this is what so I want you know what? Just so you know when you look at your notes, this means what? Including tax. Including tax. $7.14. Or technically $7.15, because you're gonna have to pay in 5 or nickels. What's up? Okay. This is a very relevant question. You earn $343 a week in your job, whatever job that is. But you're shelling out 18% of that hard-earned money for what? For some kind of insurance, whatever that insurance is. Could be a job insurance, could be your health insurance, could be your car insurance, whatever. Question number one. How much is that 18% of the what? Of the $343. Same thing. Let's do this. So, everyone, divide percentage by 100. So 18 divided by 100 equals what? 0.18. And then what do? You multiply, yes? So multiply. So what do you get? You get 0.18 times money, because you know your answer also has to be money. 62, let's just check, 343 times 0.18. So you are going to have to give away 61, $74 for what? For tax. 61, $74 for that, whatever. Not sorry, not for tax. I meant insurance. Sorry. Okay, $61.74. So how would you know how much money is left for you? Would you add those or subtract? Subtract, because you are losing, not gaining. See, the tax adds to the number, the insurance takes from the number. So that means I'm going to say, let's say money left left equals 343 subtract 60. Please, whenever you deal with money, always make sure you write the dollar sign, please. Even if you're going to write it in your final answer, just get into the habit of writing it also in the intermediate step. Okay, how much is that? Well, that's easy. I'll just subtract 343, take away 61, 74. So you're going to keep to yourself $281 and 26 cents. So I'm going to say you get to keep. You get to keep. You get to keep. Okay? Everyone? So that's how we what? One second. So that's how we what? Calculate percentage once we know it from another number. Okay. So now we're going to do the opposite, which again is more relevant for you. Because you could write a test and get a certain number of questions out of the whole and say, Mr. Robin, can you tell me what my percentage is? I could tell you, hey, we calculated things like this. Why don't you tell me what your percentage is? Okay? So let's go to the second page. So now we're going to do the opposite. I want you to tell me what the percentage is. So now, oh, sorry. Does it actually cut it out? Come here, no? Oh, it should say, okay, everyone, it should say here. Now, how would you find out what the percentage is? Okay, everyone. So finish this sentence right here. What the percentage, just the percentage sign, is. In other words, I have to ask, what percent is something out of something else? What percent is something out of something else? Actually, this happens to be the easier question of the two. This page is easier than the first page. Okay? So here's another way of asking the Walmart parking question. Okay? Well, let's see how much which one is less work. Walmart parking lot has 152 cars in it. Sorry, 152.
Not my phone.
152 let's say vehicle. Vehicle is a neutral word. Okay? Vehicle is a neutral word. Vehicle, it could be anything. So it has 152 cars in it. 110 of them are what? Are vans. Now I'm going to ask you if you would like to represent this as a percentage. Like if you just want to tell me, by the way, 50% of them are vans. What do? Couldn't be easier. Everyone, you divide the smaller number by the what? Why? Can you ever get more than 100% of anything? No way. The maximum of anything is 100%. So that means what? You either get 100% or less. The only way to get less is to always divide the small by the big. So that means first, so what percent? So first, divide. So let's say I say small by large. Small number. That's what I mean. Small number by large number. Okay. Mhm. There we go. So obviously, the first step then would be just what was it? 110. 110 divided by 152. By the way, you're always going to get a decimal here. You're always going to get a decimal. Whenever you divide small by big, you always get a decimal. So let's see how much you get. 110 divided by 152. Okay. Now, how many numbers could you keep? Sadly, I didn't tell you. Like, yeah, exactly. So not no, nowhere in the question it tells you cut it at 2, cut it at 3. So let's say for today, we cut at what? We cut at 2. So if you cut it at 2, would 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 the 3 change things or no? If you cut it right here. Nope, it doesn't. So we're going to say 0.72. Is this a percentage or a decimal? How are you going to now go the opposite way? No, exactly. Before, we used to divide the percentage by 100 to get into a decimal. Now, I'm going to do the opposite. And obviously, the opposite of dividing is what? Is multiplication. So, now, multiply by 100. Cynthia, where are you going? Okay. Do you know where she's going? Brooklyn? Do you know where she's going? Okay. So, multiply 0.72 times 100. How much? 72 what? So another way of saying that 110 of the 152 are vans, you could have just said what? 72 of the cars, 72 of the cars out, not sorry, not 72, 72%. Thank you. Otherwise, it makes no sense. 72% of the cars outside are vans. 72% of the cars outside are classified as vans. Okay, next one. Again with the tests. You are writing what? You are writing a multiple choice test. It's still the same test of 60 questions. But this time, you didn't just get 45 right, you get 52. So not bad. So my question is, what would be your mark on this test? Percentage-wise, of course, because everyone wants to know how much they did on anything as a percent. Okay? So again, what's the first thing? First, yep. And which one are you going to divide? Always small by big. Otherwise, you're going to see that you get more than 100%, which makes no sense. By the way, why does it make sense to get more than 100% on a test? Especially if that test has no bonus. If it has a bonus question, yeah, maybe that bonus will push you above the 100%. It can be because if you're going to get 60 questions, the best you could do is what? Get all the 60 questions 100% right. Unless you invent more questions and add them to the mix. But then you have more questions to contend with. So first, divide. And I'm going to stop saying divide small by large, because that's the only way it's going to be done. So divide. So let's divide 52 divided by 60. I'm gonna guess you're gonna get in the 80s. 52 divided by 60. Oh, well, look at that. You got in the 80s. So we're gonna keep two decimals, everyone. If I'm gonna keep two decimals and I cut it right here, everyone, sorry. If I'm gonna cut right here, I hope you can see, it's gotta be what? 0.87. Thank you. Everyone, 6 here, we'll round this 6 here to a 7. So 0.87. And now what do? Now multiply, yep, by 100. So 0.87. Not bad. Okay, back to Starbucks. You buy a large Starbucks coffee for $6.42. You end up paying how much? Everyone, how much did you pay full price? No, here. 15. But, come on. But, but, when you were looking at the menu price, come on, listen. When you, come on. When you were looking at the menu price, how much was the menu price? But you ended up having to pay how much full? So that means what? Now you need to know how much money did you actually pay just as tax. What do you do with those numbers? Do you add or subtract? You paid this much full, but the menu price was, so you just subtract to see the difference between those numbers. And then you have to tell me what percentage is that tax you calculated here from the original menu price. All right. So step number one, everyone. Step number one. Let's go with a different color. Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. I'm going to have to subtract first. You're telling me what to do for the second question. You're not wrong. You're there. You're just ahead of us. So first, subtract. And I want you to write the word subtract to understand what's going on. Subtract. All right. So 715 take away 642. Right? Yes. How much tax did you pay? Well, it didn't come out to a full dollar, but it still was something. 715. How much? You paid 0.73, or basically how many cents? There's 73 cents tax on that drink. Okay, that's the first question. Everyone? That's the first question. Done. This is tax. I want you to write tax. Okay? I want you to write tax. The second question is, now we know how much the tax is in money. How much is it as a percent? You go back to the menu price. So as Jalil said, now we divide. So divide. And as we all know, divide small by big. Not this big, this one, because this is the full price. So let's divide. Where should I divide? Let's divide here. 0.73. You don't have to put numbers. So I mean, you don't have to put dollar sign. Thank you. Divided by 642. I actually don't remember if I made the question such that it comes out as 13%. But let's see. Okay, everyone ready? It did not come out to 13. It came out to 0.113, not 0.13. That's fine. So basically 0.11. And then what do you do with this number? You multiply it by 100 to get it into percent. Point 0.1 times 100 equals how much? So how much is the tax on this drink apparently? Not quite 13%. It's about 11%. So it could be not in Ontario, or it could be classified as a different merchandise where HST does not apply still in London. So 715 take away 642, you are paying 73 cents or $0.73 in tax. Great. How much would that be compared to the what? The original menu price? Well, now we get what? Now we divide and we multiply it by 100. Okay? All right. Last question. Same idea. You know, you're supposed to earn how much a week? You know you should get what? 343. But you look at your paycheck or whatever, and you only see how much? Well, you know you did work enough hours to guarantee you 343. But you also know some money had to be what? Deducted. By the way, what does deductions mean? Exactly, taken away from your paycheck. Yep. So some money already got deducted or taken away from unemployment insurance. Question one: how much money was deducted? Well, that's easy. You just subtract how much you're supposed to get from how much you actually got. Sorry, minus how much you actually got. So first question is, or first thing we do, subtract. So you subtract $343, which you should have actually been rightfully paid. Take away the 275 that you were actually paid. How much is that? 25, 43, 68, I think. 60, 13, 60. I think 68. Yeah, I think 68. That's 13 minus 7. Yeah. $68. That's fine. We all make mistakes. So $68 of your paycheck went away. Whatever. Had to go. You don't control that. Question: how much is that as a percent of the original amount? What was the original amount? 343, not 2675. Remember, 275 is the future amount. 343 is the original amount, just like the original price of the drink. So I do now two things. I divide. So let's divide 68 divided by what? 343. By the way, remember, if you're doing a test and you're stuck at this step because you're not sure if you divide 688 by 343 or 275, I can't tell you. You should have it in your notes very explicitly stating that you always divide by the first number you see in the problem. So let's see how much that is. Point what? Anyone? 19? Okay. So this one, we'll round this up to what? To 0.20 or 20, I guess. So 20. And then what do? You multiply by 100. 20% got what? Got deducted from your paycheck. So 0.20 times 100 is equal to 20. You don't say 20, you have to say 20%. Remember, 20 and 20% are not the same thing. 20 is like an amount of money. 20% is a part of money. 20% got deducted. Again, this is relevant to real life. Paying, getting paid, knowing if you're being, cheated out of your pay stub, and so on.